What's going on, YouTube? Wild Lion Games here. Long time no see, but we're here delivering some honest reviews. This time around, we got our hands on an indie hockey game called Tape to Tape. It's been in early access development for over a year now, and in fact, I played the game on my channel a couple years ago, April of 2022 actually, so actually 2 years ago exactly, played the closed beta. The game has finally grown into what it was supposed to be, but does that mean it is worth your hard-earned cash and valuable time? Let's find out. Graphics up first. Graphics are great and the frame rate is smooth. I love the art style, the thin outline of the players, separating them from the ice. The lines are sharp, the ice looks crisp, and it's bright without being overly shiny or too dull. It reflects the arena lighting properly. Player movement, honestly, it just couldn't be any more buttery. The players glide across the ice with ease, and the smooth frame rates just make for an enjoyable viewing experience where a lot of indie games might be rough around the edges. The distinct lines in Tape to Tape make it easy to look at. The crowd also has some animations now. They no longer sit there like cardboard cutouts during the NBA's COVID season, but instead they have some nice animation to them, like a poorly connecting Zoom call. All jokes aside, the crowd animation is a good addition that was recently added in March of 2024. And one thing they've done very well since the beginning is the attention to detail that helps bring the arena to life. Not just from, the fake ads along the billboards, but also the detail in the crowd and in the bench areas, like the statistician sleeping on his job at his laptop, the extra sticks leaning up against the wall on the bench, or the seat attendant in the aisle. The game is so fast-paced, with it being hockey, that, you can't really stop and enjoy these details, but I believe subconsciously it adds depth to the experience of having the world filled out like this. Graphics and art style gets the seal of approval. Sound. This, in my opinion, is actually one of the areas in the games that, if worked on a little bit more, could really elevate the experience and recreate the intensity of a hockey game. In short, the sound is lacking quite a bit with Tape to Tape. It's too quiet. The crowd settles at a low hum. The boo and cheers come at the right moment, but overall, the arena sounds like it's half empty with the crowd that's only slightly paying attention to the game. Cheers are nice when you score a goal, but it's just really missing that oomph or that bass of the thunderous roar. I would also love to see sound improvement based on game time scenarios, such as like the feeling of elevated excitement for that first period puck drop, or the intensity of crowd noise increasing in a tie game as the final minutes are approaching in the third period. Sound design in, both movies, television, video games really has the ability to enhance the experience tenfold. And while there's nothing inherently bad or wrong with the current sound design and Tape to Tape, I just see a lot of areas of improvement that could elevate the playing experience and just get that heart rate up of providing you that just hockey action. Because, the action and the intensity that the crowd brings in a hockey arena just really gets you jacked up, and that sound is just not quite there. Gameplay. Gameplay is smooth as silk, inputs are responsive, controls are simple, and it's going to bring you back to the simpler times of the late 90s, early 2000s of hockey games with their loose style of play. And I don't think that's a bad thing either, and it seems like it's actually positive and purposely done on the devs' part that make for an easy game to pick up and play, but still need to put in a lot of work if you want to master it. It's an arcade or simcade style hockey game with power-ups and special abilities that I'll get into next. But the first thing you need to be aware of off the bat is I think it's the best playing hockey game on PC right now. It's like they took the old NHL 98 to 2000 games and just improved it with, modern mechanics and improved graphics. So let's get into the abilities. One of the things that makes this game unique are the abilities that players have and the totems that team have that provide team-wide boost. So for example, Dord from the Greasy Lettuce, he has this yo-yo skill that basically allows him to play give and go with himself. I love it. It's easily one of my favorite player abilities, and you would think it could be OP, but it's pretty balanced, and you won't find success 100% of the time using it, as the passes can still be intercepted, but it's a really fun skill to use, and using it in the right way can set you up for a nice one-on-one situation with the goalie. Another ability is the speed burst, which I find to be glitchy half the time. When I use it, I don't necessarily see or feel that extra burst of speed, but when it does work, it is nice to use to get yourself out of a sticky situation or move the puck out of your own zone. There are some other wacky skills like throwing your stick at an opponent to knock him down, and farting. Yes, you can even fart on players to repel them away from you, and in story mode, you actually have to play a team that it just every single player has the fart ability, and it's both hilarious and infuriating at the same time. There's no rules, so you can open ice check anyone from any angle as you please. And trust me, boosting into an opponent's blind side so hard he forgets his name never gets old. The puck physics are very well done with the proper speed, weight, and velocity. Shots ricochet into the back of the net. Poorly timed passes get intercepted by lurking defenders. The puck's going to bounce around. You can also use the L and R trigger to rotate your skater and skate backwards. This is also a nice maneuver on the offensive side of the game as the puck handler to either use it to rotate and protect the puck left or right, or even give yourself a better passing angle to set up a goal. Too long, didn't read. And the gameplay is fun, it's smooth, and it's not buggy. The big deal with Tape to Tape is the story mode, a roguelike campaign that sends your team through 3 acts of trying to dominate the ice hockey landscape. As the captain of your team, you hire a superstar to lead the way, and then you fill the rest with bench players. But as you move through the land, you can partake in various activities like training events, playing games, resting, and when you win games, you earn rubber, which is the in-game currency. As you win, you earn new abilities, team upgrades, and you move on to the next stage. But the moment you lose, the campaign is over. You lose your team totems, you lose your player upgrades, and you go home. The roguelike is one of the first of its kind for sports games, and in between attempts, you can visit the Blademaster to spend your precious earned rubber from the previous campaign. So you can buy things like a boost in stats, new abilities, or even new skaters to add to your roster. And these are all going to be permanent upgrades. So while you lose your temporary upgrades in the team totems from the previous run, you still get to keep the gained experience, the gained rubber from each run. So every time you play, your team is just going to be a little bit better than before. It's a unique concept, and while it's executed correctly, it's also pretty shallow with the features and gets very repetitive fast, as you'll be playing through the exact same Act 1 scenarios over and over and over again. The world is the exact same, the teams are the exact same, and the challengers are the exact same, so the novelty wears off faster than it should. I would love to see more variety in opponents you play, especially in the early stages since you'll be playing them so often. Unless, you're just an absolute god at the game, you probably won't make it through Act 1 on your first couple of attempts, maybe even your first 3 attempts. So that means by the time, attempt 4 and 5 of doing this, you've just done the same thing 4 or 5 times in a row potentially, but with a slightly better team and possibly some new abilities. I think new arenas, randomization of teams could add a layer of freshness to the game that it desperately needs, or even a variety of modes. We do get like golden goal challenges, 2-period game variations, but instead of always playing a 5-on-5 game, maybe we get 3v3, or maybe we get a shootout. And honestly, and maybe instead of inside of arena, we're playing pond hockey. It's possible I'm just, trash at the game, and I admittedly struggle to put the puck into the back of the net some games. But the point is, if you're like an average player, you'll be attempting these same runs for a very long time, which can grow tiring and bland. And if I could just have more team variety, more arena variety, even if it's just visually, I think it would improve the experience quite a bit. Outside of story mode, there's currently not much else the game offers besides Play Now. You have your Play Now and your team and player creation. Team and player creation is fun and it has all the basics that you're looking for, but the inability to use them in story mode I think is a big misstep. You can use your created team's colors in story mode, but the name and logo don't actually transfer over. I think it would be a lot of fun if you could use your created player as the team captain in story mode and build up his stats and abilities that way. Makes the mode a little bit more personal, but right now created teams and players can only be used in Play Now. So what the game is missing. So there's a bunch of key features this game is missing. Now it is still in early access, but we've been living in early access for a year now. The game has seen lots of improvements since it first released, but there's a couple features that are borderline required in a successful video game. One of them is season mode. The fact that there's no, franchise mode, let alone season mode, is an issue. And there's also no fighting. I don't know how you make a hockey game without fighting in it. It's kind of part of the sport. and it's been a requested feature since the closed beta, but I do have good faith that eventually it will be added down the line. And speaking of things being added down the line, the devs recently released a roadmap for the game's features and plans they have in 2024, and I've been following this game since the early spring of 2022. I was a backer on Kickstarter for the game, and I will vouch for the devs that, they've followed their word on features that were going to be in the game. And when they say they're going to have these updates, they've followed their word that these updates end up coming. So the roadmap for 2024 features things like manual goalies, which I'm personally really excited about, season mode, draft mode, shootout mode, fights, random maps, a UI overhaul, new teams, updates to the story. So with all this being said, all my negative comments about the game have already been addressed by the developers, and it's still in early access. It's been a long road, but making these types of quality games takes a long time, especially with a small team. And I think people tend to forget that there's a ton of trial and error on the production side of things to test everything out. And, oftentimes when you fix one bug, it can create two more. So 2 years have gone by since I first covered this game, and we've gone from only having 2 playable teams on quick play only, no fans in the seats, and now we have a story mode, we have multiple teams, the ability to create a team, create a player, lots of power-ups, animated fans, and so while tape to tape is not quite there yet, it's getting really close. The verdict. There's not really a verdict. This isn't a true review of the game since it's unfinished, but it has at least reached that point where the core of the game of what it's supposed to be is finished. So now we're just looking for some polishing and extra features. But right now in its current stage, I would say tape to tape is kind of like your buddy's beer hockey league team. You'll show up, you have a great time, but there's not really enough going on to win you over every single night when there's so many other things you could be doing. But I also believe that, when they start checking off these boxes in the roadmap, like story mode updates and adding season mode, I think this hockey game has the potential to just really launch in sales because the structure is there, the gameplay is a ton of fun, and now the cake just needs to finish baking. That's it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you're planning on checking out Tape to Tape, and until next time, peace.